thank you for joining me today as we celebrate International Women's Day. This year's theme is Choose to Challenge. We can all choose to challenge and call out gender bias and inequality. We can all choose to seek out and celebrate women's achievements. Collectively, we can help to create an inclusive world. So let's discuss that theme in more detail. Phil, why do you think it's important that gender bias and inequality is something we call out and challenge?
Because I think it's something that we've got to change. I mean, I think we talk a lot about these things, but it's only with action. It's only with actually doing something. We can all talk a good game, but I think you've got to call it out and do something about it. And the other thing, it doesn't need to be a negative thing. It can be called out from a perspective of promoting good things that are being done. I mean, you've got on this call, for example, 3 examples of really positive, brilliant females in business, which I think in itself is a good thing. So I don't think it's always negative, but it's certainly, it can be easy to sit back, can't it, and do what's always been done, and not to challenge is difficult. But I think we've got to do that as leaders. I think if we want to drive the change, then we've got to identify it and make decisions which change and take some action.
Definitely, I completely agree with that. And some of the, I think some of the situations we find ourselves in when we observe it and something jars with us, perhaps it doesn't feel like the right forum to do something or say something, but there's always the opportunity to go back and to talk about it. And I think it's important that we do that. Samantha, do you have anything to add?
The same as Phil, really. I think that if we really want to enact any real change in the world, then we have to be prepared to stand up and speak up. And that means all of us, men and women, looking out and speaking out for one another, whether it's positive or otherwise. I think the biggest barrier to gender inequality is the lack of awareness and denial of the situation. And the only way that we can actually fix that problem is by using our voices to call out and to challenge. But I mean, the biggest reason that I think this is so important is that by becoming a better company for women, you become a better company for men as well. What's more important than fairness and equality and inclusion for everyone, really?
Absolutely. I'll come to Muna next. Muna, do you have an example where you have personally challenged or even been challenged on gender bias and inequality?
You're on mute.
One thing I could think of which is pretty much worldwide and not specific to Saudi Arabia or the Middle East, is that usually leaders are expected to be assertive at work. However, when women tend to be more collaborative or less assertive in some situations within the teams or with their direct reports, they're not viewed as leaders and might be skipped for promotions. However, when women act assertively, they're often perceived as too aggressive and not within the characteristics of a great leader. They're still being skipped for chances of promotion. But still, I do challenge women at all times to move outside their comfort zone and prove that they are worthy of the promoted high positions.
Thank you, Muna. Hana, do you have anything to add to that?
I think within my role, I've personally challenged a lot of hiring managers around the deselection and exclusion of female talent, especially in industries that are very male dominant. Managers, especially sometimes in this region, tend to exclude women that have children, maybe just recently married, with excuses around being distracted, not being fully committed. I remember when I started in my career, I was in basically network management and in IT. I felt that I always had to work extra hard and be there all the time to prove a point that I'm, as a female, I'm up to work, and do as well as the guys are performing, and that I'm always there and available on site. And there was that extra pressure. There's also another example around performance management and how females get impacted when they go on maternity leaves, for example. And sometimes that can impact their ratings, that can impact their reviews, and it's taken against them instead of it being as a right that they have. And I've personally faced that as well. So I think those are two examples to share.
Can I add some of that? Do you mind? I think some really good points we've made. The key thing is, going back to the original question, is when you get to positions in terms of leadership positions, I feel like I've got a real opportunity to change rather than talk about it, and we should all, men and women, if we get the opportunity to be able to influence, stand up, do something, and that's what I say about doing something. Lots of people, lots of companies talk about it. It's about what you do, and Hana made some brilliant examples there about recruitment, and Sam point about equality. It is an equality issue, isn't it? That, in terms of an interview, just the simple fact of recruiting somebody into your business, you've got to promote gender equality with the way we do the job descriptions, for example, and where you advertise and talent pool people from. Otherwise, you'll get 99% of men, depending on whether we recruit in a certain way. Have a diverse interview panel, rather than some of the types of interview panels we might have seen in the past. And the basics, which still always makes me sort of scratch my head a little bit, is just having the basics like fair compensation packages. Shouldn't be any difference between people. It should be absolutely equal. I just think it's a really strong point. And when we're in positions like we are, which are fairly senior people, we need to make a change because we've got this unique opportunity to do so.
Absolutely, a really interesting point both that Sam and Hana made around creating equal opportunity for everybody. Given so many people, I guess, put pressure on women with families to try and do everything. It's important to recognise that men play a huge role in families as well, and that in order to perhaps change that bias is giving men the opportunity to take leave when required, to support children and family life, to support their partner in the burden that they're having, and sort of making sure that environment is recognised across the entire workforce.
But Hannah, it's what you said though before, isn't it? Around it's okay to put policies in place and put procedures in place and things, but it's what we do.
Yeah.
We might say that's great. We've got a flexible arrangement in terms of when we can pick kids up from school or anything else. But unless we do something different and show it's okay to do it, well, you know me. I mean, my youngest is 3, so I do like to get home and see him before he goes to bed. So I've made the point of visibly, and I've said at the start of this to you before, around it does feel, even for me, and I'm the boss, slightly uncomfortable getting up and walking out the office at 5 o'clock because I want to go home and spend an hour with him before he gets to bed, because he obviously was pretty young. But unless we do that, I don't think we can give the okay for everybody else that this is our culture now, and it's okay to do it.
Mm.
And interesting, and I suppose the buck stops with every individual. So being proud to say that that's what you're doing and that you'll come back online at 10 o'clock at night or whatever, and supporting others in making that decision. I mean, I found myself challenging myself on gender bias on a call earlier today. So we're working on health and social care at the moment, and I automatically found myself using the wrong pronoun to describe a type of worker, and I checked myself and corrected myself in front of all those people on the call, because I was kind of horrified that it was just spilling out of me.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next question. So we can all choose to seek out and celebrate women's achievements. Samantha, how have Serco been doing that?
I think we've got a lot of incredibly talented females in our business across all levels, and we are committed to providing them with the opportunity to grow in their careers and bring their unique personalities and leadership styles to work every day. And every month we've been actively sharing profiles of our female leaders across the business. Everybody's kind of got their own unique individual journeys to share, and we've been visibly profiling that for people. So that's kind of something formal that we're doing. But I think that the biggest and most important thing that we can do is really around peer celebration and what you can do as an individual, you know, in your teams or amongst your peers, and the shout outs and celebrations of the small wins every day, really. Because that's how we can create a momentum and create change, by trying to make it something that's kind of informal on a daily basis, that we all just do because it's part of what we do, really.
Muna and Hana, do you have anything to add in terms of how you encourage that culture within your team, that culture of celebration?
I think success stories, of course, with peers and amongst teams is key. Looking at the when we break the norm, and when we challenge the norm, when people are getting out of their comfort zone as well, encouraging people to get out of their comfort zone. You know, any traits or characteristics or behaviors that also show women that are more committed to growth, being more committed to development, being even if showing more assertiveness, or being natural and bringing their full self to work, and being comfortable in a working environment, because you can only grow and progress and develop if you're really comfortable and if you're okay with being who you are. And I think that's part of also celebrating you know, the differences and how we all complement one another. And again, the diversity that women bring in a working environment. There are studies that prove, you know, we think more we than I. There's also a lot of long-term thinking than just short-term and now, and just getting a quick result for today. There's a lot of thinking about harmony and environment, and thinking about the sense of a team, you know, that comes with women in the working environment. And I think just encouraging those kind of behaviors and traits and recognizing it is key.
And we were privileged to celebrate our Pulse Awards recently, and I think particularly reflecting on the mobilization of the Dubai Field Hospital, which we managed in less than 3 days. Phenomenal achievement, and there were 4 female colleagues that were involved in all of that project, which was fantastic. And 2 of them I know have families to support, and so working all hours to make sure that happened was phenomenal. Obviously not wanting to name names, we don't want to embarrass anybody in the forum. So Hana, diversity and inclusion is a key focus area for Serco Middle East. What's been done and what's in the pipeline?
So there's been a lot of focus on diversity and inclusion in the past year. And of course, gender diversity is a big pillar for us in our D&I framework. One of the key focuses for us is basically supporting women move into operational roles, and allowing them to grow into in operational roles that are basically more dominant by males. And we have some key success stories that I'd like to share. One of them is Emily Moore, that's basically been appointed as the contract manager for Palm Jumeirah monorail. And we have Emanu, that is heading operations and reporting to Graham Flaws. So those are key success stories, and we want to continue to encourage women that, of course, have an appetite to move into operational roles, that we'll continue to support them, develop them, and that we have a key focus area within our HIPO and talent development programs and initiatives to make sure that we allow that to happen, and that we enable their growth and development in the operational space. There's also been a lot of targeted focus on women in leadership roles, and especially in the executive management team. We have a female representation of 42%, which is just awesome. And we are very happy with that achievement. And of course, we want to continue to embrace and embed that across all levels of the organization. So there's going to be an effort and a focus this year to ensure that that kind of focus goes across different supervisor and management roles in different layers of the company. And as Sam was saying, we want to continue to share success stories and have those targeted campaigns to inspire other females, you know, that we have these amazing women in leadership roles in the organization, in many different roles, many different teams, different functions, and that we are here to support you. We're here to enable your growth and development, and we are committed to that. So you have a career with us in Serco, and we're ready to support you. So make sure to drive your career path and to take action and allow yourself to grow. And we'll provide you with whatever tools and support we can. And there's much more focus around that this year and more yet to come. So watch this space.
That's fantastic. I'm very proud to be part of a company that has such great representation on our executive team. And I think the work that's been done in thought leadership from individual leaders' skills and experience being promoted out in the market to show a different face of Serco, I think has been fantastic this year. Phil, is there anything you want to add?
How can you add from that? I mean, it's so thorough, and I agree with it. All. I would say I'm not a big lover of sort of targets and deliverables and all that stuff for anything, including this subject at all. I mean, we could go into we have got some fantastic statistics. I mean, Hana mentioned there about sort of, you know, almost half the lead team are female. And that's great, and we could go through the fact that we've got 70% of the Versati emeritisation programme is female. We could say that 50% of the graduates are female, and so on and so on, and that's fantastic, by the way. But it's not driven based upon that. I can absolutely tell you this is around the best talent and making sure that everyone's got the same opportunity to progress. Because I'll tell you now, I mean, the female senior talent in the EMT are there because they're incredible individuals. It isn't a gender thing at all. It's just having the ability to and the opportunity to. I've got 3 daughters, you know, so I've said to the kids, Jade, Amber, and Jasmine, since they were very, very small, that I want little girls like them to grow up knowing they can do anything, and that's important, you know. They've got to know that they can achieve anything. Their aspirations otherwise are to not to get to the top of the career ladder, and that's the issue. They should have the self-confidence to progress. And it's the same thing with females in our company. There should be no reason why they can't progress as far as they possibly want to go. There should be nothing stopping the way, you know. So Hannah's answered the question far better than I, but we're committed to it. Yeah, we've got a D&I strategy, for sure, because we want the best people in the right roles, and we want it to be equal for all.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you, everyone. It's great to be part of a company making such strides in this area. That's it from our panelists, and I'll end with a final thought. From challenge comes change, so let's all choose to challenge.